and welcome along to our latest video update on key areas of primary care finance. This month we are looking at what your accountant needs from you for the tax year end. The tax year end is fast approaching and shortly you will need to collect all your information and pass on to your accountant. The tax year starts the 6th of April and runs until the 5th of April, so you'll shortly be preparing for the year 6th of April 2024 to 5th of April 2025. Today we are going to run through some reminders of what information your accountant will need, including some tips on what personal expenses you can claim. If you are or were a GP partner in the year 2024 to 2025, you will need to provide your accountant with details of your personal expenses, so these can be included on the partnership tax return. This information will follow the dates of your accounts, so for most of you, this will be the year 1st of April 2024 to 31st of March 2025. This is basically any expenses that you've paid for privately and that are wholly and exclusively relate to your role as a GP partner. This does not include any expenses that the practice has paid for or the practice has reimbursed you for. You should keep a record of these expenses, and it's easier to do it throughout the year, not just at the year end. So let's have a rundown of some of the expenses to include. Professional subscription costs can be claimed. These include GMC, BMA, RCGP, medical defence, and also any clarity or appraisal software costs. We often see practices pay for these costs, therefore they will be shown in the practice accounts rather than claiming on your personal expenses. You can claim for any locum insurance costs, but not private insurance or critical illness costs. You can claim for telephone and computer costs. These can include your monthly call costs, any internet Wi-Fi costs, computer sundries and software, and also any computer hardware or equipment. You can only claim your business use, and therefore your accountant will normally ask for this percentage. There is no HMRC agreed percentage, but at any given point you should have supporting documents for this. You can claim for any stationery, books and journals, any medical equipment. You can also claim for any courses or conference fees. If you attend a conference or pay for a course, these costs, along with any travel to and from the location, are allowable. Use of home, we can claim that cost. If you carry out work at home, you can claim an allowance for this. A flat rate is allowed by HMRC without needing supporting documentation. This is £10 per month for 25 to 50 hours per month, £18 for 51 to 100 hours per month, and £26 per month for 101 hours per month or more. You can also claim for some car motor use costs. You are allowed to claim this, but this must not be to your regular place of work and back. So really not from home to the practice and back. You can claim for patient visits, travelling to meetings, and for any courses you undertake. We suggest that you use the mileage method opposed to claiming the business use of motor expenses, as this is a lot easier to maintain a mileage record. We suggest that you keep a typical month's worth of mileage, maybe do this for a few months, and applying this mileage concept throughout the whole year. You can claim 45p per mile, which is an HMRC approved amount. So, for example, if your monthly mileage is 40 miles, for the year that is 480 miles, then at 45p a mile, that's a claim of £216. The 45p per mile method covers all car-related costs, and therefore you do not need to provide your accountant with a full breakdown of all the car costs. You should keep copies of any bills or invoices, as these may be required by HMRC at any time. And also you must be able to provide evidence of any business uses, as the business percentages you provide to your accountant can often be an estimate. We do recommend that your practice does pay for your professional fees, such as your medical defence, especially if these costs are exclusively for your cover at the practice. If you are ever unsure of what you can claim, or if you have something new and you're sure it's even allowable, please talk to your accountant. So, personal tax. If you are required to complete a personal tax return, you will need to send all information to your accountant. If you are a GP partner, your income will be taken from your partnership tax return, which your accountant would have prepared. However, you might also have some other sources of income that need declaring. Let's go for a list of this other information that your accountant might need. If you were employed at any point during the year, you will need to declare this income, even if it was only for part of the year. You will need to provide a copy of your P60, or if you did leave some employment during the year, you should have a copy of a P45. This will be issued from your employer. You will also need to provide monthly pay slips for your employed role. If you had any other self-employment income, such as appraisals or any ad hoc locum GP sessions outside of the practice, copies of your invoices will need to be sent on. If this income was pensioned, you will need to also provide copies of any solo forms and any locum A and B forms. If you were in receipt of your NHS pension, you will need to provide a copy of your P60 that you received from NHS pensions. If you started receiving your state pension during 24-25, please advise your accountant of the start date and also provide a total of the amount received during the year. If you received any bank interest, this also needs declaring. Now, this could be from multiple bank accounts and building societies, and please also make your accountant aware if the bank interest is jointly held, as we'll only need to declare your share. You don't need to send any details of ISA income, as this is a non-taxable. If you received any foreign income, such as dividends or interest, please provide copies of certificates for these to your accountant, and the same goes for any UK dividend income. You'll normally receive individual dividend certificates, and you might also receive a yearly summary, which is handy to send on to your accountant. If you sell any shares, including cryptocurrencies, please provide a date of purchase, acquisition costs, number of shares sold, and on which date you sold them, and any sales proceeds. This should always be backed up with any corresponding paperwork. If you receive income from a rental property or rental properties, you will need to provide details of any income and expenditure relating to the profit. This does include any sort of asset purchases, repairs and maintenance costs. Also, you can claim costs for your agent's fees, ground rent and service charges. You should also provide your accountant with details of your interest statements if you have any mortgages on the property. If you do use a management company, you should receive monthly income statements, which you can forward on to your accountant, along with any of those individual expenses you incur as well. If you have a furnished holiday let, all the same information with the rental property is required, but you will also need to advise your accountant on how many days the property was available for and how many days it was used for you personally. Right, we're now going to look at some items that you do get tax relief on that you also need to forward on to your accountant. If you pay into a personal pension, you will need to provide evidence of the contributions for the year. If you have a personal loan for the purchase of a practice surgery or for a capital buy-in, you can provide these statements to your accountant. Also, if you made any gift aid contributions, please provide details of the charity or charities along with any annual totals. We'll just touch on a few other points right now. If you are in receipt of any child benefit, you will need to provide your accountant with a note of how many children this is for, the total amount you received during the year. If any child benefit started or ceased during the year, please provide your accountant with dates. And you only declare child benefit on your tax return if you're the higher earner in the household. Therefore, you'll just need to confirm this with your accountant. It's just worth to note, if you receive child benefit and you've earned over £60,000, you will have to start paying some of this back. If you have a student loan, you will need to provide a copy of your latest statement to your accountant. And if you have any investment tax incentive scheme, such as enterprise investment schemes, venture capital trusts, or gains on any life insurance policies, please send these details on to your accountant. Most accountants will request your personal expenses and personal tax information by way of a checklist, and usually this needs completing and sending back to your accountant along with any backup documentation. Some of the information will be available quite quickly after the 5th of April. However, sometimes you have to wait for those final bits, especially if these come in the post or they're quarterly statements. It's usually more efficient to collate all this information and send it together. However, if you're just waiting on one bit of information and you've got everything else ready, send this on and you can send that remaining information on at a later date. If you have ever received any sources of income and you're unsure if these need declaring on a tax return or you pay tax on them, please talk to your accountant who will be able to help you. If we can support you or your practice in any way, or you would like to see us cover a particular topic, please get in touch.